Have you ever been bitten by the entrepreneurial bug? Today's guest was leading a fantastic career in big tech before she was bitten by the bug and sought out to create her own food empire. She is now changing the world one meal at a time. Are you at a crossroads in your career or in life? Well, don't worry because life's next chapter is waiting. This is the Second Act Success podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Russell. I'm a television producer turned boy mom turned business owner, podcaster, and career coach. If you are looking to start a new career or begin a fresh chapter in life, then get ready to be inspired with stories of women who have done just that. We will share advice and offer steps you can take to help figure out what your true calling in life really is. It is time to shine, so let's turn the page and get started. Welcome to Second Act Success. Reneta Jenik was born in Ukraine, moved to Israel, and ventured into the tech world in Silicon Valley, working for giants like Intel and SanDisk. Now she is the founder of Foodom, a personal chef meal service that is making the world healthier and happier. This is Reneta Jenik and her Second Act Success story. Hello, Reneta. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm so excited to be here with you.
Let's start from the beginning. Tell me about your journey from where you started to where you are now.
I was born in Ukraine and my family immigrated from Ukraine to Israel. I actually started in a high school technology type of education. So I studied computer science and electronics and physics. I pursued psychology, did my first degree in social science, volunteered as part of my studies in 2 different mental hospitals and decided that that wasn't the right path for me. So I switched to business. And then I did my MBA with finance and entrepreneurship and worked in telecommunication companies in Israel. I started as a treasurer in one of them and I managed the collection department. Then I switched after that to marketing and to the business world. And after a few years of journey, I landed at SanDisk. I worked as a marketing manager. Later on, I moved to the US with SanDisk. Then I switched to Intel, and at Intel I managed product marketing, managing a bunch of engineers. And then my last role in tech was managing AI machine learning technology. I was a director in the product group for most of the PCs in the world, which was amazing. It was my dream job. With an incredible team, high pay, so much fun.
A lot of different roles in big tech. Must have been really exciting and interesting for you.
I'm an entrepreneur. So even when I was in big companies, I was there in the startup type of business, which is bringing AI to laptops. It was new. We were trying to figure out what are the use cases, how we help all the PC OEMs adopt, more of the AI hardware. So it was super fun because it's a huge market. I was there from the very beginning when the market was tiny. And I was there as the market grew through elasticity of like price and supply and demand. We grew the market. And I saw how you take a business from idea to billions of dollars. So all this learning I'm now applying to a different commodity, food.
Who would have thought, right? You're back there at your desk in the big office and working on AI, and then you get a bug to start your own startup, to create your own business. How did the startup bug, entrepreneur bug really get you?
I started to think, what if I can take all this experience that I have and I can build something, but the way I think will be helpful and can help grow, something new. That was, I think, the seeds that were planted of like maybe it's time for me to do something on my own. I did work in a startup in my early 20s, an amazing company that was like Amazon in Israel. There were a few multimedia companies that sold stuff online, and I worked for the biggest one called Mythos.
You got to see the startup aspects of all the different pieces of a business and trying to get it to succeed. That's good education right there.
Absolutely. Throughout my career in corporate, I found myself in startups in big organizations with a lot of support and funding. So the seed was in there. One day, I was struggling with nutrition for my family. I was looking for healthy meals for my family because we got tired of eating the same food every day. And we ended up eating a lot out, and a lot of food was thrown away because we didn't have time to cook. Eventually, I decided that I'll just find a personal chef that will come and cook for us. My husband thought that I was crazy because we're not rich, we're just normal people. I told him, let me take care of this. And I was lucky to find a young chef that came to our home for $100 to $150 per week and just changed our life. I would walk home and pinch myself because I just did not believe that this happening. She left us to go to India for a month and a half, and our household collapsed. So I decided that I want to have a lot of chefs that are going to be available to also my friends that were starting to ask me to get her contact information. So we will never get stuck again like this.
What were you finding? Were you finding that everyone was getting healthier, more in shape?
Just coming home to a clean kitchen and smelling good, like walk in at 7 p.m. and food is done. Before that, I would have to start figuring things out, start chopping stuff, and then you talk to your kids and family through your shoulder because your face is in the sink, and then scrubbing dishes afterwards. I would finish my evening at like 11 p.m. or 12, crashed on the sofa. And now here I come home, done. Everything is done. It just blew my mind. And healthy food is very important to me. All I wanted is just simple food that I know all the ingredients, and that was huge for myself and for my family. Before Foodom, I would spend around $800 per week on food because we were very inefficient and throw away like hundreds of dollars. Now we're spending about $400 and zero food waste. We're not throwing away anything. When the chef does the groceries, they have no impulse buying and they buy only what they want. When I go to the grocery store, it's double. So just by that, I reduced my expenses by half. I don't waste food.
You don't,
Multiply
yeah.
me by a million people, and boom, the food waste in the US is down by 10%.
And the money savings and the
And the
healthier
money savings.
eating. Were you a big cook growing up?
That's a very good question. My family immigrated from Ukraine to Israel many years ago. My mom passed away a few years shortly after we moved to Israel, and my dad stayed alone with two young girls, and he took over the cooking. He was the king of the kitchen, and he left me to handle the business stuff because he didn't speak good Hebrew, he didn't read and write. So I took care of the bills and all the official, things, and the kitchen was his kingdom. And as I grew up, I it's more fun for me to do the business side and to take care of finances than to cook. I'm not a good cook. I had my 5 dishes that I know how to prepare. Eventually, my daughter said that she has PTSD from my chicken and broccoli
Oh,
and just became vegetarian.
that is not good, Reneta. Does your dad still cook now? Is he still a master of the kitchen?
My dad is actually, he's 91. He's a Holocaust survivor. So
Oh,
he's,
wow.
he went through many, many things in his life, and independence was very, very important to him until about a year and a half ago. He fell in the hallway and broke his hip and
Oh,
basically lost his independence. But until then, he by himself bought the groceries and cooked all the way to 90. When I told him about my business, he was laughing so hard. He's like, I'm not surprised you're doing this.
he must be so proud of you, though. This is your way to get food into your life. Now you're the king of this or the queen of this wonderful business. Do you have little kids? It's hard to get them to eat healthy.
So the kids eat everything. What we did, we allowed them to participate. Each one chose a dish that everybody can share so they feel they own it. And then when the chef cooks, they also, if the kids are around, they would ask, what are you doing? And they will try. So they feel like they're part of the process and they're included. We have nuggets, right? But they're healthy nuggets. They're still delicious. They're just healthy.
Right. They're not what you buy in the frozen food section.
Exactly.
So you have this idea, you have your chef leaves for India, and you're back at square one, having to go back to your old lifestyle. What was next?
She came back after like the month and a half were just torture. It was complete chaos and craziness that just made us think about this more. After she came back, I remember walking in the Intel parking lot with a controller from my group, and he was saying, oh my gosh, I need to figure out dinner today. And I'm like, oh, I have a chef cooking in my kitchen now. He's like, what? After like a bit of conversation, it's like, we should have a startup about this. I think you're onto something here. The thought was to do it where the chefs cook at their own home and then deliver the food. But then I saw the regulations around it, and decided that it's not something that I see can scale and be good for the chefs. And my goal is to make it a good business for the chefs and also help everyone, the chefs and the customers. So I chose a path that will be free of limitations for both sides. And that's the name Foodom as well, food freedom. I believe in freedom.
Oh, I didn't realize that that's what it stood for. That's brilliant.
How many times did you find yourself asking at 6 p.m. the dreaded question, what's for dinner? Yeah.
So many times.
So what we're doing, we're basically connecting local vetted chefs and busy parents. So the chefs can meal prep 1 or 2 times a week in the family's kitchen and starting at $100 per week. Our mission is to create many new jobs for local chefs and turn this question into something that will bring smile to your face. You think what's for dinner, it will be like smile and happiness and peacefulness, and to do it in every household. And then there are other rings around that which brings health, um, longevity. Everybody dream about having a private chef, right? You think it's not affordable, so I'm making it affordable.
You are. And it is that experience too, because a meal prep kit that gets delivered, you still have to do the work.
Yeah.
This is like a luxury, like you said earlier. I'm not rich, but I got a personal chef to make it a happier place for you at the end of a long day. So it is about that service that's affordable.
I think about this, many people outsource services. Some outsource the house cleaning, some outsource the gardening. It's hard to do everything on our own. And when you're busy and you're working, so you come home, you have 2 hours. When do you do this 2 hours? Do you, take care of yourself and, communicate with your family looking in their eyes, or do you save on outsourcing and do things yourself? So I'm a big believer in outsourcing. I can outsource cooking, and then I can go on a walk before or after dinner with my husband and my kids. One thing that actually I wanted to bring up is the guilt that many mothers have around feeding their family. I had this guilt for a long time, not being, such a good person, cooking wise. By having a chef, what it did, it freed me from the guilt because I am still providing food for my family. I just don't need to do it myself. And then after the chef cooks, I can still do my salad and feel good and sprinkle some flour in my face. And I'm like, oh, look at this, I cooked.
No one has to know it was a chef.
The chef sneaks from the back door.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like we're figuring things out. The important thing is just to be happy and free yourself from guilt, and to the next generation. What do we want to give them, happiness or guilt?
Happiness for sure. And then making the food and having the kids say they don't want to eat it. It's always a cycle with us moms about the guilt over
Exactly.
food. So you're giving us a whole nother option, and I'm so excited for it. Take me to the beginning. How did you decide, yes, I'm going to start this company?
It's not easy, and my husband has his own business too. He has an auto shop in Palo Alto. We used to live in the Bay Area, and then Intel relocated us to the Folsom area, which is near Sacramento, so it's about 2 hours away from the Bay Area. So he sold his shop there and opened a new one in our area, completely from scratch. So he started first, and he did phenomenally well. This is when we started with the chef because he was working hard, and I don't cook. So we had to figure out a solution. And I saw how he built his business, and it gave me a lot of inspiration and strength.
Just to know that he went through it, he saw that he could succeed.
That's what I learned from him. How to create a business, how do you market your business? He's a phenomenal marketeer, and his customer support is top notch. The name of his business is True Care because he truly cares and he walks the talk. And he teaches me all of these things all the time. I'm learning from cars and I'm applying it in food.
That's so nice that you both have your own businesses that you're following, your own paths, and you're learning from each other. So when you're starting, you have to get your LLC, you have to make your logo, you have to make your website. There's so many little pieces. So if you're still working in corporate, were you trying to do this at the same time?
First of all, I disclosed that I'm researching about the space, and I got permission from legal and HR, and then my manager, of course. And then I asked for a leave of absence because I wanted to test, just to have like a few customers book and see how it goes. So I got approval for that. And then I hit a wall because I don't write code. So it took me a few good months to figure out how to test it with no code. And I built like this little Frankenstein solution with Weebly website, PayPal invoices, and another platform that had all the recipes and created the shopping list. It took me like, 4 hours to process one order. So every time I would get an order, I would be, yes, and then crying, no, now I need 4 hours to process it.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, and
Yeah.
about after 100 orders like that, I decided that's it. Now I'm automating the whole process because it was just impossible to keep on doing it manually. At that time, my boss already asked me to either come back or he needed my rec to hire. So I decided not to come back. That was at the end of 2019.
Were you 100% in, or that must have been hard?
I was 100% in. And what I did actually that was really helpful, whenever you do something on your own, it's very lonely. And working in corporate, having like a team and like so many people around you, if you do this transition right, it will change the trajectory of things. So I actually joined a co-working space called the Atrium in Sacramento with a good friend of mine, Shira Lane, and I met there Deborah and Shiran, other great friends, and amazing supportive community of creators and artists. And I'm coming from a, Intel, technology, analytical data. And they, surrounded me with love and support. I left home. I went there and I had people, I had the team, I have a crew, to work with. Each one was working on their own businesses, but until today, Deborah is a dear friend and advisor and helps me. Very like good friends who stayed friends since then. And so that was like my first step outside of corporate into an incredible, co-working place, community. The first thing that I decided, I bootstrapped and invested in writing the code. It took me a long time to find the right person to work with. Now this person is our CTO. We're working together for a few years, and he gave me a quote. I told him what I want to do, and he's like, "Oh yeah, $8,000." I ended up investing 75,000 because it's just much more complex than that. Obviously, we invested since then much more on the software side, but it was really fun. We laugh about this today. $8,000, yeah, I wish. Uh,
That would be amazing.
yeah, he's an incredible developer and a passionate person, sharp, and give his heart and soul to what he does. And we have other team members that joined us as we go. One of them is a chef that started as cooking on the platform and now joined us, and she's incredible, um, incredible person. So we have other people that joined us, and some of us are working together on this for like over 2 years now. So
Wow.
it's really exciting. But in the beginning, I was alone and figuring out my way. So I think that was very helpful to have this community. Another thing that was really helpful is join accelerators. I joined the Fourth Wave Accelerator in Sacramento area. It's a female accelerator. I met other female founders. Some of my, very close and dear friends are from there. They helped me. I said, okay, I need to fundraise. How do I do that? How do you fundraise? Oh my gosh. That's a whole beast by itself. I was raised so far almost $400,000, and yeah, step by step getting there.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
If you didn't have that community to even ask those questions, you'd be just spending so much time Googling and
Oh,
researching and trying to figure it out on
oh,
your
yeah,
own. And what a waste. Yeah. So
yeah,
having
totally.
people to turn to, wow.
I strongly suggest to just join any program that works well. I've been to a few, and every time I finish one, I'm looking for the next one because it just helps me as I go until I have like a more robust team. Early on, I was alone. I was just by myself. Now I have a team. I have a management team. I joined an amazing accelerator called the Growth Factory from Sacramento area too, which helped me get from founder to CEO. And I learned over there also how to fundraise properly, just from seeing other founders successful and what works for them.
Now, if you are in these groups, you can share what you've learned, and
Oh
you're
yeah,
helping the next person. That's so gratifying too, I bet.
I'm happy to help anyone that has a dream, an idea, and passion. I have things that I just learned along the way that I can answer like with confidence. Yes, do it. No, don't do it. What I learned, it's very interesting. Women, when they're fundraising and they're selling in general, because fundraising is a one big sales event, and you keep on selling, all your life as a founder. So what I learned is that humble and I'm modest. It doesn't work in sales. I learned to be in corporate always under commit and over deliver. I got this feedback also from investors and founders. Investors discount whatever you say by 20%. approximately. If you start at 70%, they're going to look at you at 50%. And now you have other founders, they come with 150% because they're cocky and arrogant. Guess who gets the money? The confident one at 150.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I heard that, I did not understand what am I doing wrong. So I had a few male friends fix my words. You need a mirror to know what you're doing wrong. So that was incredible. That was on deck friends. I also used Lunch Club to meet more entrepreneurs. One of them invested in Foodom.
Oh, wow.
I'm still like learning how to come across confident and feel comfortable being confident.
Do you feel it's more of a women men thing as far as coming confident, aggressive to meetings like that? Or do more women come, like you said, humble and
Yeah, just calling it aggressive, it's also like women are considered aggressive, but when men do it, they consider it confident. So I don't like the word aggressive. What I hear that works best is the coachable confidence, which means that you're confident and you're still open and you're listening. It's a two-way communication. I see that women are lacking in that, and we see also that less women are funded. I believe that this is one of the problems, not the only one. There are other issues that I had, lack of network. I did not have a network for fundraising. So building this network, the fastest I can build it, that's how fast I can move ahead. What I'm doing now is my network of investors is open to all of my founder friends, and I'm introducing, and they're introducing me, so we're helping each other. I did my first step up, no problem. I'm pulling anyone who wants, and then others are helping me pull me to the next step and next step. I believe in first of all giving and giving more than what you get, and then all the rest, lines up.
So do you credit a lot of this to the co-working space, to your networking, your accelerator programs? I feel like you met so many people through that, and therefore those people can recommend investors and recommend other people who can
Yes.
help. It really comes back to the networking.
It comes back to the networking, and the strongest networking is with other founders. That's the best learning I had because they know it. Someone that's, one step ahead of me, two steps. I'm lining up my help, one step ahead just to learn all of these things. Also, I added advisors to our advisory board. So they invest and they become also advisors. So if I need help, now they're invested in the company.
So you've got people who are just right there, who did it already, are still willing to help. They're not too big, so they can be your mentors for that next step. And like you said, if they're invested in Foodom, that's all the better.
As I progress, the doors open to like the bigger investor mentors, board members. So I can tell you in a year about that. Another thing just to mention is that I saved enough money to be able to live without a salary for 2 years. And smart because pandemic hit just when I launched our platform. So my plans changed a little bit. It's always important to save enough, have a cushion, make sure you have enough. The other thing is really stepping out of the house and joining a community. It's not necessarily the co-working space, like the community. That could be an accelerator or Techstars, or in my case, it was an office space, but it was more than that. It was the community that gave me the emotional support that I needed to unplug from corporate. I like to work from a co-working space or an office space, just not to be at home because my kids, and they're older now, they're teenagers. They like to talk and they don't understand when I'm on calls, and when they need money, they need it now. It's just easier for me to just disconnect myself and be in an office. And I'm
I
still
agree.
available for them, but it's a little bit less chaos.
You can concentrate. You have a lot that you're working on.
Yeah, exactly. So what was lovely about this community is that there were different types of roles in there. People that had their own businesses, like there was a marketing person. He and an intern helped me build our first brand guidelines. I didn't have investors back then, and I had nothing, so that helped me, get going. I booked on Fiverr someone to help me build the logo for $30. I started as an LLC, and then when I was ready to fundraise, I switched to C Corp. So I did it like gradually. What I learned in life is that when I want to do something big, I break it into small pieces and I take care of one thing at a time.
That's
Helps me
brilliant.
sleep at night and not to be too terrified and keep on going.
knowing you're slowly working on the idea of this company and then you decide to leave, but you had money saved. That really is so smart because you can choose where to spend it. You can take the time to research, meet people, network, plan things out instead of just saying, I don't know how long I can go without a job. I need to jump in when I might not be ready.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the name for Foodom?
I put together some words and then suddenly the freedom and the food, got connected. I think my husband is the one that saw the connection between the two. And then we used the butterfly. The M on a spoon is basically a butterfly, which is freedom. So it was immediately, boom, that's the one.
Talk to me about the launch of Foodom. You making this go live and starting to get your customers and start to market and brand the business.
There wasn't one launch, it's an ongoing. I created a list of customers, about 20 of them, and then I looked for chefs and I looked for recipes. And when everything was ready, I uploaded the chefs and told the customers, hey, come on over. It's very, very tiny, end of 2019. And then in March of 2020, once we were ready, we already have customers. We switched to the new platform and invited the current customers and the current chefs, and then worked on bringing more chefs and more customers, and had to figure out how to operate in a pandemic environment in a safe way. So we decided to keep on going. Although I did get some ideas of maybe going back to corporate, putting this on pause. And I'm like,
well, I'm sure the pandemic was great to get people who want the food at home. They can't go to restaurants, but then with Foodom, that chef is cooking in your kitchen.
exactly. They come to your home. And my goal, first of all, was to make sure that everybody's safe. So the chefs are safe and the customers are safe. And then we figured it out. And I created, along with my friend's help, Deborah, and Chef Mayumi, we created a video where we're explaining how this works on the platform in a safe way for both sides. And we created a page for safety for during the pandemic. And the pandemic is it's going to stay with us, for a long time. So we're adjusted. There were two big trends during the pandemic. First of all, people are at home, stuck at home, cooking at home more than ever before. And then the chefs don't want to go back to restaurants because they got the unemployment payments. Suddenly there became like a big variety of chefs available out there that's looking to do something different. And what we offer them is do what they love. Just cook. We'll take care of everything else and just go to someone's home, do your stuff. Food freedom. It's a freedom to make money from creating food. And it's like art, and they love that. And they make good money, and the customers are happy. So we free them from this burden without the guilt of driving through a drive-through or ordering delivery of any kind. So that was a great opportunity, and we started to grow. So we were in alpha during that time until about June of last year. And then when the vaccine became more available, we started to see much more demand coming in and started to double like every quarter. Now we're on that trajectory, keep on growing fast. My goal is to grow fast.
So where are you at now then?
We want to make sure that we don't have too many chefs, that we won't have enough customers for them. So it's like the chicken and the egg. So we're first figuring out all the playbooks and what works in our specific use case, because this is something new that no one succeeded so far in building it in scale. I'm the first one that figured it out, and I'm now preparing the machine, and I'm not being tempted to run into some rabbit holes that might, be interesting. I'm going to the mainstream, huge market like Intel. Let's build it right and then bring the funding so we can crank the machine and get this entire market. I'm like hyper focused, and nothing will get me off that.
No, you're going to get there. Tell me where you're located.
We're servicing most of the areas in California. So we're in LA, the Bay Area, and the greater Sacramento area.
I want you to get to the East Coast.
Yes, that's next. That's definitely after the seed round, we'll get to the East Coast for sure. And I have a lot of people signing up to our waitlist from the East Coast and from Austin as well. We have also people signed up to our waitlist from other countries, have from Europe, Israel, Australia. I think I have a few.
If you came to Manhattan, it would be amazing. There's just certain other cities that you can see have the potential, but it's when you're ready to go there.
Absolutely. Yeah. The playbook needs to be prepared, and we need to be staffed in the right way to be successful.
Could you have ever started this without all of your years of experience at Intel and SanDisk and everything else you did prior to this?
Yes, I was a scaredy cat, and it took me all these years to kick myself in the butt and do it. But you see a lot of people out of, Stanford or other universities that just go and start. And you have a lot of amazing support and help from investors and advisors. Everything is possible.
So you built up your confidence over the years. That's okay too. You built up your confidence, you learned so many skills, and you're that much more prepared to run your
Yeah.
own company.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I feel confident to just keep on going. I have enough skills. I have enough funding also on my own that I can pour in more. And I have the confidence that it took me time to build throughout the years. Each person is a specific scenario and situation for where they are, and it's the perfect place for them.
Very true. So what's your goal for Foodom? What is your ultimate goal in the next 5 years?
I want to build a unicorn. And I want to make the world one big blue zone where people will live happy, healthy, fulfilled, and with flowing abundance to everyone. Now, will it take me 5 years to do it or a little bit more? It doesn't matter because this is what I'm going to make.
All right, it's time for our 5 fast cues of the week. Here we go. Name one thing that these different chapters in your life have taught you.
I learned that my thoughts and beliefs create my reality. And now I'm working on evolving it to decode, my belief system to get to the next level. But that was a big realization that I was surprised. Like everything I wanted, I got it. Like everything.
Would you recommend taking a leap into a big life change to your best friend?
Absolutely, yes. I actually did it, and a few of them already did the leap. So, yes. When I was in corporate, I had a good friend many years ahead of me that she leaped from corporate to design, interior design, and she's phenomenal, very talented. And actually, she inspired me, and I saw her do that. So we were talking back then, and I told her, "Yeah, go for it. Your heart is there. You're ready. Do it." But now, when people ask me, I can say, I can talk from my own personal experience, and the answer is yes. So I had a few people recently asking me, and I told them, yes, quit your job. Yes, do it. And they did it. I hope they're fine. I really hope they're fine.
I know. You're like, keep me posted on how that went. What is one piece of advice that you would give someone trying to start a second act?
The first thing is start. And the second thing is to keep on going. Very important to be consistent, keep on learning and adapting, and good things will start happening.
What does the next chapter look like for you?
I'm now in my next chapter, so it looks like a unicorn, maybe even a dragon, which is like $12 billion valuation company. So I'm in the process of building that. And like I told you, my vision is to make the world one big blue zone and to help people live happy and healthy, bring wellness to everyone in abundance, and also improve the situation of our planet in terms of sustainability so our kids can stay on this planet for a longer time before we need to jump to another one.
Where can our audience connect with you?
Definitely on our platform on myfoodom.com. And also you can reach out to me on Twitter, Reneta Jenik. Follow me and my DM is open, so I'm happy to chat.
Your story is so inspiring. I'm so glad we had a chance to chat.
Thank you so much. So much fun chatting with you, and your questions are opening my mind and all like glowing now. Thank you. You made my week.
You can learn more about Reneta's mission and her company at myfoodom.com. That's myfoodom.com. You can also follow her on Twitter at renetajenik.com. RenetaJenik. Thanks again for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and tell your friends. We want everyone to get in on the Second Act Success movement. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found some gems of inspiration and some takeaways to help you on your path to Second Act Success. To view show notes from this episode, recommend a guest with a great story, and learn more about us, visit secondactsuccess.co. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And if you're enjoying our time together, please leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Reviews only take a few moments, and they really do mean so much. Thank you again for listening. I am Shannon Russell. And this is Second Act Success.